Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Marilyn, Maya, the baby boomer booktuber, and I wasn't going to do a video today because a few days ago, by the time you see this, I lost my precious dog Chique, and I've had Chique since she was 3 and she died at 15. I adopted her, and the reason that I came on today is to tell you what Chique taught me about life and show you a few books that helped me with grieving and with what she taught me. The first thing that she taught me was to be yourself. And when I joined BookTube a year ago on my 70th birthday, I wanted to be myself. And maybe I'm not the typical baby boomer, at least not on BookTube, where we're very stately, and we're just very serious, as old people are supposed to be. I'm not that. I did a lot of jokes and I laughed, and I was a little bit, did impressions of Mae West. I mean, I've done it all. Danced with a cane. I mean, I've done it all. So she taught me to be myself too, because she was herself, and she got into a lot of trouble by being herself. And maybe I don't have as many subscribers as other people my age who start BookTube, but she was herself in the sense that she did things that were sometimes not good for her, and that goes into the second thing she taught me. And the second thing she taught me was to take chances. When I first got her, 2008, she decided, we had some guests, and she decided she wanted to take a walk by herself. The people that were staying with us left the door open, and I was frantic. Where was she? We had just had her for a couple of months. And I was just running back and forth trying to find her. She had been gone for 5 minutes, and it was very hot in Hawaii. And after looking went the wrong way. I thought she had went toward the street, but she was going toward the highway. And what happened was that the same people who had let her out pointed to her, and she was almost near a very dangerous crossing of the highway that goes into the beach. And she was sweating, and well, if dogs sweat, she looked like she needed help. And I picked her up and brought her home. And so that chance didn't work out for her, as well as another chance she took. But she was stubborn, and she wanted to, do what she wanted to do. And she was always taking chances. And she taught me that sometimes, even if a chance doesn't work out, you learn something from it. So that's what she taught me. And the last and most important thing she taught me was not to be afraid of death. When I was young, I think it started even when I was a teenager, but when I was very young, in my 20s, I had a lot of health anxiety, and I would get panic attacks. I would get headaches for weeks on end, and be sure that I was having that I had a brain tumor, and I would go to these doctors who wouldn't be very sympathetic and treat me as if I was a hysterical woman, which maybe I was in a sense, but that, we shouldn't treat people like that. And it didn't help me, the way they treated me. This month is Nonfiction November, but as usual, I always read a mystery during any readathon. And this month it was The Circular Staircase by Mary Roberts Rinehart. And I took it out of the library, and it was a very old copy. I don't think it's very stained and everything, but something here helped me. and it's Miss Rachel. It's about an older woman who is an amateur detective, and she helps the actual detective solve a case. But there's a woman who's in the hospital, and she visits her, and I'm trying not to get into spoilers. So the nurse gave this woman who was in the hospital a stimulant, and in a little while she was able to talk, but so broken and half coherent was her story that I shall tell it in my own way. In an hour from the time I entered the hospital, I had heard a sad and pitiful narrative, and had seen a woman slip into the consciousness that is only a step from death. And that helped me to deal with. I read it around the time that my dog was unresponsive. She has been unresponsive, going down into unconsciousness for about a month. But I saw how it went, and it wasn't scary, you know, it was peaceful. And that helped me accept that death is not as scary as I always thought it was. And having seeing 3 dogs recently of mine who passed away at an older age, I've been learning and being much less afraid of death. And the third thing, well, that was the third thing, but let me just tell you what happened with Chique. A year and a half ago, I had put up a baby gate, and she decided that she was going to jump over it. And she had jumped over it many times. She was almost an agility dog. She was very active. She was very sassy. She wanted what she wanted, but she gave us so much joy in the time that we had her, me and my partner, and later my daughter, who moved in with me. And this time it didn't work out for her. So a year and a half ago, she hurt herself, and we took her to the doctor. She didn't break anything. But I found out later, much later, that probably some nerves had been damaged, and it affected, they didn't do an MRI, but they did an X-ray, and they found out that she had injured her eye, and she began to go down from there. But when she passed, it was peaceful. And sometimes you make a mistake, and it can be a fatal mistake. But she wasn't afraid at the end. And yes, I'm sorry that I put up that baby gate, but it could have been something else that she tried, because that's the kind of dog she was. She was, when she had an idea or when she wanted something, she would do it. So I want to tell you a little bit about how I'm taking chances. I don't read much science fiction, but I picked up from the library Ursula Le Guin, and it's not any of her fantasy or science fiction, but it's on her writing. And she was a very intelligent, creative writer, and I'm going to start reading more of her science fiction. But these books are good for nonfiction November, and one is called Words Are My Matter, and the other one is Conversations on Writing, and that's with David Naimon, who used to be help her with putting her books together. And I'm hoping that when I read about her life, I will learn about how to live in a better way, because, you know, she died at like 89, and she was very wise. Plus, she's an older woman. She was born, I think, in 1929. So that's how I'm going to take new chances. That's one way. I also just wanted to bring up the book that I'm reading, Disability, Visibility, First-Person Stories from the 21st Century, edited by Alice Wong. I started the first story, and I went into a few, I'm not reading it linearly, but I read the first story, which was just wonderful, about how a woman with a severe disability is told by an actual philosopher that she shouldn't have been born. And she has a lot of comebacks to it, and it's a wonderful book to read. And I also read a short story about a woman with a mental illness and how she learned to deal with bipolar disorder, which by chance my mother also had, which they used to call it manic depression. And I'm getting so much out of this book, and I recommend it highly. And when I read all of the stories, I will come back next month and do a wrap-up of all the nonfiction books. But I wanted to just read from my book, Meditations to Heal Your Life, that I read. And this is about loss. Now, we all experience loss in our life. And as we get older, we lose more people. I was very fortunate to have Chique in my life and for so many years. And now that she's crossed the Rainbow Bridge, I still have one dog left that who's 14. And I'm learning about loss. So let me read to you from Louise L. I pay attention to the good in life. I know that good resides in every moment and in every place, and that even in the worst situation, a lot of goodness can be found. The loss of a job or a loved one or my health brings me face to face with my biggest fears. It is normal and natural that I experience these fears. Yet I know that nature abhors a vacuum. When one thing goes, then something else will come to take its place. So I take a deep breath, or 6, and trust life to always take care of all my needs. I am learning to trust life loves me and will never let me down. Only that which is for my highest good now occurs. So that helps. And on the other side, it says, new wonderful experiences now enter my life. I am safe. So with the loss of Chique, I look forward to spending more time with my dog, Princessa Jasmine, who is left. And I hope that this video has been helpful to you in some way. I'm sure that everyone has experienced a loss of some kind. Maybe it's a loss of a parent, which I've experienced. Both my parents have passed away. The worst thing probably that can happen is the loss of a child, which fortunately I haven't yet experienced, and I hope never to experience that. And the loss of a pet. And people, I've heard a lot of people poo-poo that. You shouldn't really grieve for an animal. But they're part of our life. And grieving is part of life. So I'm going to end this video by showing some video and pictures of Chique in her happier times or when she was alive. And I hope you will subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. And I will be back soon with more books and my philosophy on life, if you want to call it. I think that women who are older have a lot to teach. And like in disability, invisibility, whatever we go through in life, we have disabilities of some kind. We shouldn't be invisible. Older people shouldn't be invisible. People who have any kind of either visible or invisible disabilities should be visible and should be treated as human beings, just like anybody else. So I hope that I'll see you soon. And until then, I hope you enjoyed the footage. Aloha.
Hi, Chique. Hi, Chique.